Hey guys, you're watching JayzTwoCents, and here we are live once again, July 24th, 6:33 p.m. Pacific Time, 3 minutes late. I know I'm going to hear it from you guys. I've got a special guest with me here today. I have got Kyle from AwesomeSauceNews. Hey Kyle, how are you doing today?
How's it going, Jay? I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing good. You know, I have to admit, I don't remember how I found your channel, but I do remember when I did. I spent like hours watching your videos because I loved.
Nice.
We kind of do like the same thing. We try and bring some comedy to what can be an otherwise really boring subject.
Indeed, indeed. You know, yep.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I think you know, people have this misconception that tech has to just be kind of dry and boring a lot of the times. But it's kind of nice. You know, like I love your channel too, man. We definitely both have that in common, where we like to bring a little bit of character to it.
Yeah, and I remember when I tweeted out your channel, a lot of my followers and subscribers, especially on Twitter and Facebook, they knew who you were. So that was like really kind of comforting. And then I found out you were local and that you worked at Newegg, and I was like, okay, this is just scary because I could throw a rock and hit you if I wanted.
I appreciate that you haven't done that yet, you know, because that would have been really easy to do.
Well,
but yeah,
I don't know. I do every now and then use the will call, so I mean, I could come down there and throw a return at you if it's broken.
I should probably get a helmet then and start wearing it to work.
I work in IT. I know the feeling. Trust me. So anyway, if you guys aren't familiar with AwesomeSauceNews, a.k.a. Kyle, go and follow him on Twitter. He is at Forever a Kyle. Forever a Kyle. How'd you get that name there?
Well, you know, I was just kind of trying to think of something clever and creative, and completely failed at it. But, you know, I was just like, oh, well, I need to have my name in there because, you know, Paul. Many people know Paul from Newegg, and I work very closely with him. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna have a YouTube channel. I'm gonna call it Paul's Hardware. Like that's so befitting, you know. I need to do something like that so people know it's me in there. So I was like, yeah, I'll put a Kyle in there, and well, my name's always been Kyle. So
for any of your fans and followers that may be in here, I came up with my name. It's funny that it's Jayz with a Z instead of an S because there's already a JayzTwoCents with an S.
Of course there is.
But I was JayzTwoCents on Twitter first because, you know, I'm a pretty opinionated person. I try not to be like condescending with it, of course, you know.
Sure.
But people were always asking for my 2 cents on stuff, especially with computers and whatnot, because, you know, I've been doing the computer thing since I was a kid, and so I was actually JayzTwoCents on Twitter prior to YouTube, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll get some cross subs from people looking at maybe Jay-Z and rap and stuff.
That's brilliant.
Stumble across me, because you know everyone who listens to rap is also a computer nerd, right?
Exactly. There you go. That's a perfect way to put it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we got 31 people in here and 31 likes. That's a pretty good ratio.
I would say so.
We got a few things we're going to talk about today, and then inevitably, like I've told you leading up into this stream, it always turns out to be GPU talk, not tech talk. GPU talk, because that's what people all want to know about. And earlier, I tweeted out asking people, you know, what topics they want to hear us talk about. Especially since you've you've probably got more hands-on experience with some of this hardware than I do, simply because of what goes through Newegg. Everyone wants to know about the new Quadro 6000, and it's like, guys, look, we're talking about a $2,000 plus graphics card, first of all, that's designed for CAD and 3D rendering. You know, yep. I don't know what your experience is with that, but man, I was shocked that people want to know about the Quadro. I'm not sure if they understand the market that's pointed towards.
Right, yeah, you know, and I'm sure it's an amazing card for what it does, but I feel like people kind of, like you said, misunderstand that it's not a gaming graphics card. Unless you're doing some, you know, intensive 3D modeling, like a 660 Ti is going to outperform a high-end Quadro card in gaming. So.
Right, specifically with the way the drivers are tuned for those cards.
Exactly.
I mean, I know people think, wow, there's 4 GPUs. That's awesome, but you know, it's a whole different. Now, if you were doing a lot of, you know, rendering with like CUDA rendering, then yeah, it would be kind of neat. But extreme wrong market to be put in a PC like mine, yours, or our average viewers.
Right. Exactly. Like you said, it's just like, oh, 4 GPUs. That automatically means it's better than a Titan. But,
Yeah.
There's a lot more that goes into it.
Wasn't that one of the things the Titan was kind of marketed towards in the beginning too? Is that it's kind of a poor man's CAD card as well?
I actually haven't heard that before, but I could see how that might be a possibility. And wow, I can't believe people are associating that Titan with the word poor, because it's still $1,000.
Still $1,000 and still a $350 overpriced 780.
Yeah, exactly.
I put out a video, and I want to say this now because I'm really hoping there's people watching who got mad at my fake rage. I don't know if you saw my video where I burned $1,000 cash. It was fake money, of course,
nice.
But it was really convincing fake money to where the FBI might have wanted to get involved. But anyway, my rage on this was regarding the history of GK110 versus GK104 and why the Titan pissed me off. And I'm going to tell a story, a condensed version of the story, and you can tell me whether or not you feel I'm on base, off base. Your opinion won't offend me.
Sure.
Let's rewind back to the 500 series and the rumors about the 680 being GK110. And everybody expected the GK110 to come out in the 680. And then once it came out, it debuted as a GK104 with two 6-pin power plugs and a 256-bit memory bus. And people were going, this is kind of odd. This doesn't follow the upgrade path from the 285 to the 480 and 580. And then there was the reverse engineering of the BIOS. People went in and dissected the BIOS and found that it actually shipped with what was called a 660 Ti BIOS on the early reference models of the 680. I don't know if you heard about that or not. It was all over hard for them.
Gotcha.
And so then people went, okay, so it's GK104. So what it appeared happened was because AMD got a 3-month jump on NVIDIA with the 22 nanometer or 28 nanometer GPUs.
Right.
It turned out that the 660 Ti was stomping all over the 7970, so people believed NVIDIA rebranded the 660 the 680 and hoarded all the GK110s.
Yeah, I think I tend to see this a lot with a lot of companies in the industry that they have the technology there in their hands, and they could just release it to the public, at that moment. But I feel like a lot of the times what they do is they base things more on a business decision.
Right.
Where they're like, how far can we stretch this out, and what's the most strategic way to actually execute.
And you certainly can't fault NVIDIA for that. But
sure.
I think what people felt was there was a broken promise on NVIDIA's part, which, okay, I got a 680 and I'm perfectly happy with it. But what pissed me off about the Titan was, do you remember in December when Linus and a few other people started leaking the back of a PCB that people thought was going to be a dual GPU 8000 series AMD card?
Okay, I slightly remember that.
Yeah, there was a GPU. It was kind of a dark, sort of like how NVIDIA does its coming photos, and it's kind of like a shadowy picture.
Yeah.
It was like that. It was the back of two GPUs that were clearly AMD with the way they do their bracket, and it was like a new age is coming. And I think what happened was, and this is such speculation, but the way everything broke down, just makes me feel like I was on par with this, where NVIDIA didn't, and their stockholders didn't want to be jumped to the gun on the next generation GPUs like they were with the with their Kepler series, and AMD was king for over 3 months.
Right.
So I think what they did was they saw this, and in trying to beat AMD, they ended up scheduling their press conference where they were going to talk about their 700 series cards. But then AMD, within a week of that schedule, announced that they weren't going to come out with any new cards until at least Q4 of 2013, which then kind of forced NVIDIA to jump the gun. So I think what they did was they binned the GK110, took their best, called it Titan, pushed off the 700 series even longer, and it essentially took a 780 that should have cost $600 to $650 and ended up charging a premium for it.
Yep.
That's what I feel happened with it. So to me, the Titan was the promised 680 right off the bat because it was supposed to be GK110.
Right.
But then they binned it even further, made a boutique, limited run of them, I think it was 1,000 cards that came to market, and then put a $1,000 price tag on it. And then what do the benchmarks look like against the 780? We're talking, what, 10%?
Yeah. Yep. I think it's just kind of, it has just everything to do with the industry and the nature of it, and I guess the politics involved. Everything's kind of like it's like a waiting game. It's all about waiting, action and reaction. You're kind of just reacting to what the competition's going to do first.
And there's absolutely been no shortage of sales of the Titan, that's for sure. But I think if I had dropped $1,000 on a graphics card, and knowing had I waited a couple of months, I could have put an extra couple $100 with it and had an SLI 780 set up.
Exactly.
I would have felt like a douchebag.
Right. That's right. Which is also at the same time really awesome for anybody who wanted a Titan really badly until the 780 came out. And they're like, oh, I'm so glad I waited on that.
Yeah, and here I am now. This all month long, I've been telling people, okay, I'm going to pick up my 780 with with the channel earnings, because I reinvest my earnings into the channel with YouTube.
Sure. Yep.
And people have been bugging me about the 700 series, and so I said I'm going to buy a new 700 series, but I decided to wait because I don't even come close to maxing out my 680 because I do single 1080p monitor gaming.
Me too.
Which the 680 is still more than enough for.
Yeah.
And I decided I'm going to reinvest into equipment I need for CES coming up in January.
Nice.
So a new mic and all that sort of stuff. But
it's a good call. That's a good call. Very responsible of you.
Well, I think if I put a 780 in here, I wouldn't have seen any difference whatsoever. I would have had e-peen from benchmarking, but hey, that's just a benchmark.
Right.
And I also really struggled with, okay, maybe I'll just, I'll go to hard form and I'll buy a trusted used 680 and I'll go SLI. But I'm so shallow, I can't find a matching EK water block because I have one of the early edition blocks.
Yeah.
Because I can't have matching water blocks, I won't do it. So I just decided to reinvest it.
So you're a sucker for aesthetics, just like myself.
Oh my God! If you go and look at the last 3 weeks of my tweets, you'd see I've been going through hell just finding a coolant that I like the color of. Because, like I said, I'm a diehard water cooler.
Got some major issues, man.
I have major issues. That's why I had a series called Tech Addiction.
Yes.
Because let's face it, when you get into this hardware, it is an addiction.
Yeah, it is.
I don't play nearly as many games as I should, because to me the game is building it.
Yeah.
I guess, if that makes sense.
Yep. And also just I don't have time to game. I have like 60 hours logged in Metro Last Light, but it's all from benchmarking. It's just,
yeah, really, running the benchmark.
So depressing.
Yeah, I do a lot when I do game, I live stream it because I have a lot of people that like to watch it over on Twitch.
Sure.
And I live streamed all of oh my God, what was it called? BioShock Infinite. There we go. That was an awesome game. Yeah. And I haven't quite finished Tomb Raider. I know I'm right at the end, but I kind of ran out of time on that. And then I got sick and whatever else. But what I think is ironic about the conversation of me being mad at NVIDIA because of their binning and boutiquing, is what did AMD do? They turned around and did the same damn thing.
Of course.
With the 9570.
Yeah.
Or was it 9590 and 9370?
Yeah.
So that's what people want to talk about. And at the time, I had an 8350 that was one of the magic overclockers. I was able to get 5 gigahertz out of it. Actually, I got 5.14, but it required massive water cooling.
Sure.
And my benchmark scores on that are scoring higher than this AMD 9590. Have you guys played with that at all yet at Newegg? Have you guys gotten any?
No, we actually haven't. I think we're supposed to get one of those pretty soon, but hasn't come in yet.
Yeah, $900, man.
Yeah.
Can you see any reason to pick up one of those over an extreme processor? Over like a 3960.
If I'm rich as hell, then yes. That's pretty much the only option.
But
even that
dual channel RAM.
Yeah.
It's got dual channel RAM, and it's 220 watt TDP cooling requirement at its stock BIOS speeds.
Yeah.
I don't see there being any overclocking room for it. I think there will be some diehard AMD fans who would probably buy it.
Exactly.
But I think that's an extreme waste, because for that price you could pick up a 3820, quad channel, quad core, and a X79 board for that price.
Right. I think products like that, they're either just extremely niche, or it's just for the people that really just need the latest and greatest tech. Maybe not even the greatest tech, but just for people that need whatever's most current, on the market. And
right.
I can't really see any other purpose for it, to be honest.
I took a lot of flack for that because I kind of boast as being one of those people But then when it came down to it, one day prior to Haswell launch, while you were out in China, I went and picked up a 3770K and a Z77 OC formula.
Right. No, I actually just recently watched your video today about why you chose that over the 4770K. It was a good video.
You know, I don't trust first-run overclocking chips.
Yeah.
I don't trust. I mean, I've got a nice refined Puerto Rico chip, my 3770K. If I wouldn't say grow a pair, but if I like to sell my used stuff when I don't need it anymore, and I usually heavily discount it and sell it off on hard forums or to one of my fans or something, and then move on. But if I delid this chip, nobody's going to want to buy it.
Sure.
But if I delid it, I know I can run at 5 gigs all day long at like 1.35 volts.
Right.
But the TIM in my chip is so bad that once I hit 1.35 plus volts, then it bumps up into the 90s even on my oversized water cooling.
Oh god, that's pretty terrible. You should
anyway.
Exchange it or something. Have you delidded a processor before? Because it's something personally I've never done before. But I'm just curious. I'm always curious to know like how risky is it? Because I'm sure you've got some things to worry about there.
Yeah, there's risk involved. I mean, I would definitely not recommend anybody do it who can't afford the $280 to replace it.
Sure.
I think the razor blade method. I did a razor blade method when it first came out because I had an old Core 2 Duo that was not soldered. That I practiced on, and it was pretty easy. I did it with the razor blade, but I can see where if you're not really careful, you'll cut right into the traces.
Sure.
The way I want to do it, which is kind of the scary method, but everybody says it's actually the cleanest and best way to do it, is the vise and hammer method.
Okay, I've heard of that. Now explain that to me because I'm not really too clear on it.
Okay, you literally flip it upside down, and you know how the heat spreader has those shelves. It's kind of it's got squared edges.
Yeah.
You clamp that in a vise, not tight enough to bend it or bow it, but tight enough to hold it. You take a wood block and you put it against the PCB of the chip, and you smack it with a hammer.
Wow.
Now, if you smack it too hard, there's videos of it all over YouTube. If you smack it too hard, it'll go flying, and if you're not careful, it'll land on the die side and you can crack the silicon.
Perfect.
Usually, if you do it just right, it'll break the glue loose, but it'll hang on just enough to where the lid will just kind of go sideways.
Right.
And then you just pull the rest off by hand, and then you clean up the glue.
I don't think my balls will ever be big enough to try something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean I've done some really crazy stuff with my hardware, including taking some chips and overclock them 80%, and that's pretty scary. I don't know if I would have the cojones to do a vice method.
Sure. Yeah.
But
well,
it's so
you.
squishy.
I hope that you'll post it online for everyone to see.
Oh yeah, I would definitely make a video of it, and if everyone was lucky, it would probably be a failed video.
That would be the best.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone can get a laugh at my misfortune, but for right now, I have not decided to do it because I am running comfortably at 4.7 right now while rendering this and uploading it. My processor's sitting at 38 degrees.
Nice.
So I have no complaints there. But tell me about your system. Didn't you recently do an upgrade?
You know what? I actually haven't done an upgrade for, well, I guess maybe a year or so now. But I'm still rocking 2 gens ago. I've got a 2600K. It's overclocked to 4.4. I still have a 670. I was thinking about upgrading to a 700 series card, but like you said, like the 670 is just doing just fine for me right now. I'm only on a single panel at 1080, and I really don't game as much as I used to, so I don't really see the need in it. It is nice being at Newegg though. Sometimes, like I remember when we got a few Titans in, I just ran like 3 Titans in my system for a couple days, and that was nice to just be really sad after giving them back. But it's a good system. It does what I need it to. Basically, the most intensive thing I'm doing right now is just video editing, and occasionally doing some AAA games there. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it. And I feel like if I do upgrade, it might be to Ivy Bridge E or maybe even Sandy Bridge E, depending on how the deals go. I actually live near a micro center myself. I know you do as well.
Yeah.
So.
We live near the same micro center because there's only one in California.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm waiting for, and it's funny too because, when you do a channel like ours, I don't know if you've gotten it yet, but I certainly have. I get critiqued and I get judged and I get flack for any decision I make.
Sure.
No matter what decision I make, I made the wrong decision according to somebody.
Yep.
And I'm very used to it. But people gave me so much shit when I went from 8350 AMD over to Intel.
Right.
And I hadn't owned an Intel since LGA 775 and the E6300 Core 2 Duo.
Right.
Right. I haven't owned an Intel since then. So I had to go back to Intel just to get the first-hand experience on current gen stuff. Otherwise, how can I claim to be any sort of an enthusiast?
Sure.
So people gave me shit because, you know, there was already the rumors of the new AMD chip coming down, which turned out, now I wouldn't say to be a flop, but it wasn't nothing more than my overclocked 8350 was.
Exactly.
So then I took shit for not going Haswell.
Right.
And then Haswell turned out to be all over the board when it came to overclocking.
Right.
And I didn't want to play that lottery. And I also, you know, I frown upon people who will return chips because they don't overclock good enough.
Yeah, oh god.
Yeah, I don't. It's like, okay, look, it works. I got a bad lottery. Fine. I'm stuck with it.
Yeah.
And then people said, oh, you should have at least gone X79 because that's going to be the next, you know, gen platform expanded on with IVE.
Right, right.
Well, we don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
And now we're talking, Haswell E is rumored, what, X99? And then we still don't know the specifics and the actual details of IVE.
Right.
So
well,
yeah,
you know what? Actually, I was talking to Paul earlier today, and he said that he actually read an article recently, today I think, on Ivy Bridge E, saying that you know, he was actually a little bit disappointed because he found out it's going to be on the same chipset, X79. So you're still only going to have two, you know, Cybervision 3 ports on there.
Right.
And it's just, I think there were some other things that he was talking about. The clock speed wasn't going to be that much of an increase. Not like Sandy Bridge E was. You know, when it first came out, it wasn't that big of a leap. So he was a little bit disappointed, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that the only benefit I would have seen at an extreme premium, the price between Z77 and X79, is quad channel RAM and a soldered lid.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't realize that there is no gaming benefit of X79 over Z77.
Right.
It would have come down to my rendering, and as it is, I already render in about 105% of real time. So I can't complain about rendering a 10-minute video in 11 minutes.
Exactly.
There's no complaints there.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go and take a look at the chat here. I have kind of been neglecting that and see what people have to say here.
Sure.
Yeah, if you guys are my fans, and I do find it kind of interesting though that we've got a Newegg guy here in AwesomeSauceNews with no webcam.
I'm sorry. I'll work on that for the next one.
You've probably not needed it before. But
That's true. That's true.
I do highly recommend the Logitech C920. Amazing webcam.
Yeah. I've actually heard very good things about that. We're actually looking into getting some of those for our channel as well at Newegg.
Yeah, they're great. Okay, so we've got people talking about CUDA cores and, of course, you know,
the typical run-of-the-mill conversation.
People saying 660 Ti has 1,344 CUDA cores. I think it's worth noting when it comes to generational leaps, the 660 Ti does pretty much smash the 580 spec-wise.
Yeah.
And I had a 580 and I loved it, but man, my friend's still on a 580, and when I compare my 680 to his now, and he's on an X58 platform, it's, you know,
Sure.
previous Extreme. God, it's just night and day.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Goku Clone is asking, have we seen Eurocom laptops? Those things have an Intel Xeon 8 to 10 core monsters. I've personally not. I don't follow laptops.
Neither do I. You don't like laptops?
Well, I don't really follow them so much.
Neither do I.
The only I would say the only gaming laptop I've ever owned, and I'm ashamed to admit it, was a Alienware Aurora.
Okay.
And it lasted just under a year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so when you spend that kind of money on a laptop, it's expected to last.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I saw a really cool laptop today at Newegg. MSI actually came over and brought over their, I think it was a GS70, and it's really sleek design, man. It almost I'm not a huge Apple fan, but it actually kind of mimics an Apple style design. I don't know if it's unibody necessarily, but the entire thing's made out of aluminum, and it's the slimmest whatchamacallit, it's the slimmest gaming laptop I've ever seen. It's probably like about an inch thick all around, and it's just a powerhouse. I think it's got like 3 SSDs in it, and
Wow.
you know, SLI configs and whatnot. But I was pretty impressed, and I don't get impressed by gaming laptops too frequently. So
Yeah, especially since I don't really game on the move, so I never really look at them.
Me
And
too.
I feel bad too because I'll get at least one message a day saying, "Hey, I'm traveling to university and I need a gaming laptop. Do you have a recommendation?" I'm like, okay, you know, check out Sager, check out MSI, Asus,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't have a specific recommendation for you.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what would you say the most impressive thing you saw at Computex was?
Most impressive. Well, the booth babes at Western Digital were pretty awesome. I will say that. No, actually, you know what? What I was most fascinated about at Computex was just seeing a bunch of vendors there, in the PC industry in particular, that I had never heard of before. You know, because they only distribute in Asia.
Right.
So I was seeing a lot of different case vendors and just checking out some of the case designs of these manufacturers was pretty awesome because they just came up with some pretty cool designs that I hadn't seen before, and you know, it was really cool to just kind of be out of my comfort zone in a different environment where the industry was really just kind of, that was pretty much the core of the industry is over there in Asia, and I felt like I was, like my blinders had come off and I was able to see a lot more of the industry that I even work in.
Right.
But you know, nothing really stood out to me as far as just took the win. You know, a lot of consumer electronic stuff. You know, a couple booths that just had a bunch of iPhone accessories and whatnot. But you know, yeah, it's really hard to say. I did see this one crazy setup that was basically just like a seat that you sit in, and it's got this like overarching like monitor stand. It almost looks like a Scorpion. It looks like you're sitting in a Mech Warrior Scorpion,
Okay.
and it's got like a triple panel display in front of you, and it probably costs like $50,000. And I was like, wow, where the hell would you get this thing? And I actually was on thisiswhyyou'rebroke.com the other day, and I saw the exact same thing.
Oh God.
So, okay, well,
I think,
pretty.
did you go to you went to CES, right?
Yeah.
2013. Did you see that racing simulator? It was sort of like that.
I think I might have. Was it? I saw one at the NVIDIA booth, but that's probably not what you're talking about, right?
No, that one was like an actual car that was converted, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
No, this one was all like metal framed, and it kind of looked like the cage of like a NASCAR sort of thing, but it was completely reactive to the game. The whole thing moved. It was on like hydraulics and stuff.
Right.
I couldn't even imagine what it would have cost. Think of like those guys that go all out on their flight sims,
Sure.
but for driving.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty intense community. You know, like they get really into it, and driving sims is actually something I've been wanting to get into, but like I feel like I'd want the actual seat. You know, I need the full experience, and I don't know. It's too expensive for me right now. Can't afford all that stuff.
Everything's too expensive for me. I have kids.
Exactly.
Well, I have a kid, but gosh, when you have one,
yeah.
I think it's more expensive than two because they get spoiled.
Right. Yeah. There you go. They turn into the cost of 2 kids.
Oh my God! And it's a girl, so Daddy,
man.
yeah, here, just take my money, just go.
Oh yeah, you're
Like
screwed.
as we speak right now, she is at Knott's Berry Farm, and then I think going to Disneyland or not because she has annual passes, and Grandma and Grandpa took her for the day, which is kind of nice. I'll admit it's really quiet around here. I
Sure.
don't know what to do with myself. So.
You just know she's just swiping your card everywhere she's going. You know, what I mean, it's
Yeah, and she's only 4.5, and she's well trained. I'm telling you,
They learn fast, don't they?
Oh my God! And she even herself has got a little pink computer I built for her, quad
Nice.
core, and it's kind of, I feel bad because I don't consider myself an elitist, but she's got better hardware than a lot of people who message me asking for upgrade ideas.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness! My 4-year-old has a better PC. What have I done?
Yep. Yeah, we deal with that all the time. Like, all right, guys, we're making a $300 HTPC, you know, for just to kick around and beat up all the time. Like, I want that. It's better than my current system.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like the Newegg TV video that Paul did, where it was like, "Oh, we got all these Titans in here." Well, because we can, so we did.
Yeah.
That-
Pretty much.
I don't argue with that.
Yeah.
What do we got here? Okay, Requiem Fiasco. I'm not sure I understand the question. Maybe you will. He says, what are your thoughts on AMD frame pacing driver releasing in a week? I'm not sure what frame pacing driver is. Will it catapult AMD back into the competition for multi-GPU gaming? So it sounds like
Frame
they're
rating.
making... I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. I think maybe they're talking about frame rating, because I know for a fact that NVIDIA has really been kind of blowing AMD out of the water lately as far as frame rating goes, because it's kind of a new way to benchmark. You know, some guy looked at it and was like, it's not just about FPS, it's about
latency.
Exactly. And
we all know Crossfire has already had horrible scaling.
Yes, right. And I think those are the drivers that this person is probably talking about, and how that's probably going to compete with NVIDIA's.
Well, you know, I tell people all the time, because people will ask me, hey, I've got a 7970, should I get a second one? And I always tell them, look, you're going to spend $500, or okay, $400, let's say, if you get it at a really good price,
right.
For maybe 20% improvement.
Sure.
And not to mention, you're still at the mercy of the game developer to actually code a Crossfire profile for it.
Exactly. Yep.
A lot of people think just because you stick in a second card, it means immediate improvements. If the game doesn't call for using that second card, you're still on a single card.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with the developers and how they tweak the drivers, and some of them don't even optimize them for multi-GPU configurations. So I feel like when you're faced with that decision, well, where do I go with a multi-card setup, or do I just get one really high-end card? The only reason you would go with an SLI setup is because it looks badass.
Yeah, it's all about showing off and bling, you know.
Yeah.
Especially when if you go water cooling route like I do, because I have to take all that into account when I think of a second card. It's okay, price of the card, then price of the block, which is another $100+, and
right.
So that's another reason why I'm just going to sit on one for a while.
Yeah, exactly. You know, unless it comes down to the point where you have a decent GPU and you wish you could get an upgrade, but you can only afford an upgrade. You can't necessarily afford a really high-end GPU. So then maybe I could see spending a couple $100 to make that upgrade because you can't afford the latest and greatest $500 high-end GPU from NVIDIA or AMD.
Right. But I will tell you though, I'm really grateful for how competitive AMD has been over the last generation of GPUs.
Sure.
Because in the 6000 series, they had a really hard time keeping pace with NVIDIA, and years prior to that, they just really were off path.
Yeah.
And NVIDIA or AMD's been in such a rough place over the last decade with their constant declining of their desktop processor and presence, and I think they lost something like 72 million last quarter.
Right.
But a lot of people don't realize that's been consistent. Yeah. And I can't wait to see what they do with the money they're going to start making from their console sales. Because they now have all the consoles pegged as AMD powered.
Exactly.
For the next gen.
Exactly. And that's good. That's good for the PC enthusiasts, because that means that at least some of that money is going to be trickling into our industry and headed our way for better products. It's
amazing how many people will try and convince me or the other viewers on my PC versus console video that console is the future and that PC gaming is going to die. Well, you know what? First of all, that's never going to be the truth, because all console games are written on a PC. Yep. It's not a lot of work to port it from their console port back over to PC. Right. Granted, it won't be perfectly optimized. Yep. PC gaming's been around for 30 years.
Exactly.
If not more. I mean, shoot, I remember playing on Commodore 64.
Yeah.
Top Gun on Commodore 64. And that came out in '84, I think it was.
Yep.
But, I do hope that what a lot of people speculate when it comes to AMD 8-core making its way to both new consoles means more core optimization for PCs, which means finally,
yes,
we're not going to see 4 cores sitting idle.
Exactly. Finally, a way to actually maximize the potential and performance out of our hard-earned hardware.
It's going to be like an upgrade without spending any money.
Exactly. It's like overclocking. Jesus.
Yeah, and I encourage everybody to overclock, always.
So do I.
So
it's a free upgrade. Why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
There are tutorials. Don't be scared.
Let's see. Mr. Snap at Ya says, Jay, according to CPU-Z and CPU-ID, you're rocking your 8350 at 4.5 with a Corsair H60 and have temps of 35 to 45. Is CPU-Z or CPU-ID lying to you? You didn't show contrast. You said CPU-Z and CPU-ID is showing 4.5. I'm not I think maybe you got to finish the story there.
Yeah. I can't read minds, brother.
I try, but man, my wife tells me I fail every single day.
Yeah, and it just looks like you're looking at them really intently.
Yeah. And it feels really weird being in this room because, God, I have to apologize to all of my subscribers about just not being on my game. I know a lot of people out there have been tweeting and asking about my health, and I didn't really get into that like I wanted to, but yeah, I mean, for the last 2 weeks, I felt like near death. I mean, probably is very far from reality, but it felt that way. I mean, for about 4 days straight, I had like 105 temperature.
Jesus.
And in the beginning, they said I had meningitis, and then they changed my diagnosis to an unknown, but there was something going on. They did CT scans and blood and urine and all that crap. And at the end of the day, they said, after 3 different visits, they said, look, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But, I mean, shoot. The headache, I won't even say migraines because they weren't migraines. Headaches like you wouldn't believe. And I made one video, which was a video that I had shot months ago, but edited together finally, a review of the Fractal R2 XL.
Right.
And, God, that about killed me. It was hard to talk because I was like, I sounded drunk. So this is the first activity I've had on YouTube in 2 weeks.
Well, man, you definitely bounced back from wherever you were, and it happens. You follow Tasty PC at all? Lauren from Tasty PC?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, she was having some major health issues as well. I mean, I think she was like in and out of the hospital, and she kind of went MIA for like a month or so. And eventually when she came back out of that, she just started pumping out videos again, and it was nice to see her back. But I feel like you're recouping. You're on your way up.
Yeah, definitely. I feel better, that's for sure. And now my wife's starting to feel ill, so God, help me.
you bastard, you gave it to her.
That's how it works. She would have kicked me out of this house if she had the opportunity. I've seen a couple of people asking what mic I'm using. This is just a Blue Yeti, and the thing is huge. It takes up like half the screen. I'm actually looking at getting rid of this mic and getting a more low-profile condenser mic.
It sounds really good, though. I don't know.
It sounds great. It's just, it is much bigger microphone than I need. That's for sure.
Sure.
But I didn't know I bought this like my first month of starting my YouTube channel, and I had no idea what I was going to be doing. I thought I was going to be doing like game commentaries, and then it kind of turned more into a how-to type channel. And now, to be honest, I don't know what the future holds. So I would like a mic that doesn't block my whole second monitor over there.
Yeah, it kind of defeats the purpose of a second monitor, I guess. But I mean, how much was that mic, by the way?
Well, retail the mic. Best Buy wanted like $149 for it, but you can find it under $100 on Amazon.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, just looking at it, it just looked really nice too. I was like, oh my god, he probably paid like $5,000 for that microphone. I'm using a $50 Samsung Go mic that I've had for 4 years, and it's just
yeah,
barely.
But you know, the last dual live stream I did was with a YouTuber by the name of Redneck. Pretty cool guy. He's got like almost 50,000 subs, I think.
Sweet.
He just uses a $30. A little $30. I think it's also. I think it's a Samsung. USB mic. Tiny little $30 thing, and it sounds fantastic.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I'm pretty happy with my mic, the Samsung one. They got some good quality audio stuff.
What's that mic you're holding in your picture there?
You know what? I actually don't know. That was at PAX East when we were doing the build off. We had 2 people go head to head, trying to build the system as fast as possible. And I think Paul just handed me the mic. He was like, "Hey, you're emceeing the event." And I was like, "Thanks for the 5-second warning." So I didn't really even get a chance to look at it, but I think it's just a typical dynamic condenser mic or something like that.
PAX East. Was that the event? No. You were a part of the Corsair build-off from Computex, weren't you?
I think Paul actually went there to interview Corsair. I don't think either of us were involved, or any of us were involved in the actual build-off there. But yeah, we definitely were aware of it, and I think, it's funny too, because we actually talked to one of the reps from ASUS that was working the event, and we were like comparing times. It wasn't even like it was just funny. It was like, all right, so what did your fan get? What was his time? He was like, oh, that's like 5 minutes. What was yours? It was like 2.5 minutes. We're like, what? That's impossible. Like, did you have the CPU cooler installed? We were like just like totally going at it, and
oh my god,
we weren't even really involved. We were just kind of watching these people build, just decide our fate. Start arguing about it.
I'm extremely anal retentive when it comes to wire management. My builds take like just straight through bare bones builds that I've done for some customers have taken me 2.5 hours.
Sure, and half of that will just be the cable management.
Easily, if not more, and that doesn't include bench testing, of course. Okay, that brings me to a question that was asked on hashtag #AskJayzTwoCents. Somebody wanted to know how to handle no boot situations on first builds. I'll take a stab at that, and then I'm sure you may have some advice too.
Sure.
You can drastically limit your no boot situation if you bench test.
Yes.
Take the box, put the motherboard on it, hook up the power supply, put in the CPU and the cooler, nothing else. See if it turns on, and if you get a like a bootloader or a missing hard drive message on the screen. If so, and it doesn't boot in the case, you're pinching something.
Yeah.
And I'd say 9 times out of 10 it's a pinched wire because people don't pay too much attention to the way they're cramming stuff in their case.
Right.
I've helped a lot of people fix no boot situations, and I've yet to find one that wasn't. I've yet to have one that was bad hardware and wasn't a pinched wire.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually would agree with that. I think it's very vital to do a test boot anytime you're building a new system. Just because once you have everything all plugged in, like the more things, more components you have plugged in and connected, the more crap that can go wrong. And it becomes harder to troubleshoot and isolate what the problem might be. So just start simple, start with a few components, and if it's still working improperly, maybe you got something mounted wrong, maybe there's a pinched wire.
Right. Yeah, because you can have a system power on. You won't get any image, but you can have a system power on with just a motherboard, CPU, and power. No RAM, no GPU. If you get power, then you know it's not going to be your CPU or your motherboard. Because oftentimes, if it's a bad CPU, you'll get that split-second power on and then shut down. Yeah. That's usually been the case when it's a bad CPU or a bad 12-volt CPU header or something.
Right.
But I mean, motherboards are so robust now. I can't remember the last time I've actually seen a bad motherboard.
Yeah,
you've probably seen a bit more than me, but
sure. We do RMAs and stuff like that, so we get tons of motherboards a day. But I'm sure there are many more components that we have even more RMAs of.
And I'll admit, back in the day, I'd blown up a motherboard, but that was because I was not paying attention to PCI Express versus 12-volt power. And back in the day, at that time, you could mix the two up. They didn't have the shaped prongs, and we're talking like 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
And I did pop a motherboard because I had 12-volt going to ground, and there you go.
I just thought they were fireproof. I just thought I could just let the flamethrower go and it'd be fine, but apparently not.
It's well, you live and you learn, and I keep the flamethrower far away from the computer now.
That's a good call.
Let's see here. Confaya. He wants me to ask you why you were so awesome.
Why am I so awesome? I don't think well, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I feel awesome. I don't know if I really am, if it's like a reality versus perception thing. But I'm surrounded by a really great group of people at Newegg. It's probably the best thing about the job, other than being able to interact with all the awesome hardware all the time, of course. But I think we have a really good dynamic there at Newegg, and we all work very well together. Even, Paul and I, when we do an episode of Yoked, we just have a really good dynamic. We can kind of just, half of the stuff is just improvised, just completely off the cuff, on the fly, and we just have that chemistry just naturally, which is something you don't really see too often. So when you see it and you realize it, you kind of want to take it as far as you can.
Yeah, I like the videos. That's kind of like the candid stuff of all you guys behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because it looks like you guys have a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's, and we have our issues too. There's, we're kind of like a family. We're just such a tightly knit group that we kind of just say whatever's on our minds. There's no politics involved in our group, so that it's like, you know how families are. They're all completely dysfunctional, so we'll just be yelling at each other. But then, hey, what are you doing after? You want to grab a beer, or let's play some board games. Let's play some Uno after work. So we're all very close like that, and it really shows, I think, in our videos because the fans can tell. When you're posting online, it's very transparent. To the viewers.
You probably get the same message as I do, but I get a lot of people that say, hey, it looks like you have fun with what you're doing. If we're having fun, the viewer's having fun, and everybody's having fun, and then, here we are, one big happy family.
Yeah.
So, and then, like you said, you guys are a family, so you probably fight like brothers and sisters at times.
Yes.
But,
sure.
Okay, so what have we got here? I see a lot of people asking about graphics cards.
Come on, guys. You can do better than that.
Oh, I see a specs and a Sony Vegas question. So let's see here. Poise, I think it is. Hey Jay, I'm running an i5 3570K, OC to 4.2, and GPU you're running a 662 gig. I want to increase my rendering time in Sony Vegas 12, and you just scrolled away. Is it worth upgrading to an i7? Thanks. You're definitely going to see a huge increase i5 versus i7 just due to hyperthreading. It probably won't be a huge it probably won't be a huge increase. I'd say maybe 25% or so.
Which is still pretty large.
Yeah.
If you're rendering all the time, that's going to save you a lot of time overall.
But remember, it's not just a cut and dry question of will you render faster. What are you rendering? Are you rendering 12 layers of transparencies and overlays and graphics and transitions? And because I'll tell you right now, that stuff will just hammer a computer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fairly fortunate though that with my overclock and the RAM I have in here and just the overall computer, that I think the most I've seen in any of my videos so far has been about 20 layers of different transparencies and effects and such. And I have seen some videos take upwards of 20 minutes to render if I go that route.
Sure.
But I can guarantee you right now though that with your setup, if you're using CUDA with that 660, that you're at least you've got a decent render time. You're never going to render faster than the video is lengthwise, if that makes any sense. So you're never going to take a 10-minute video and really render any faster than that, even on an X79 platform.
Right.
So I don't think going from i5 to i7, especially your 3570K at that overclock, is going to matter. Now, if you were on an i3, I would recommend it. Sure.
Jay, do you know if Sony Vegas? I don't have too much experience with it, but do you know if it actually utilizes the CUDA cores on an NVIDIA GPU like it does with Premiere?
I have Premiere as well as Vegas 11 and 12 Pro.
Right.
Vegas 11 and older would say it says use GPU if available, but it doesn't specify.
Gotcha.
12 says use OpenCL or use CUDA if available, so you have to select it.
Okay. Gotcha.
I don't recall if OpenCL is specific to AMD. I think NVIDIA does OpenCL as well, but it's more CUDA optimized.
Right. Yeah.
The weird thing is, for me, I don't know if my i7 is just doing such a good job that I've done tests with CUDA enabled and CUDA disabled and seen margin of error results. So I leave it on by default.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it be within 5% rendering time because it always varies a little bit.
Right.
And I've seen no difference. So that's just me though. It could be Vegas just not utilizing as well as maybe Adobe does.
Sure. Yeah.
Elijah Jackson says, Jay, please tell Kyle that him and Paul helped me out a lot with my computer, and now I'm able to build a computer and save about $200, and he has a lot of fun doing it.
Awesome. That's great to hear. That's kind of what we aim for. It's like comments like that where we're like, all right, we're not just just dicking around all day, and this isn't just being seen by us. Like, people are seeing this and they're learning from it, and it's helping them. It's a way to kind of I don't know, give back to the community that we have such a respect for, and shoot, if you're saving money while doing it, that's just a bonus.
Yeah, I'm such an advocate for build your own PC, even if you've never done it. It's so easy
absolutely.
now.
It is.
I mean,
it's like Legos.
It is. If you just go straight forward, if you're not doing any custom cooling solutions, if you're just doing, heatsink fans, whether it be something like a Hyper 212 or even a stock fan, everything is plug and play. I mean, even motherboards today are color coded on the front panel switches.
Yeah, it doesn't get much easier than that. And actually, I'm currently kind of writing an outline for a video that we're going to be posting on Newegg TV relatively soon. That's just kind of like our top 5 reasons why you should build your own PC. If you're thinking about getting a new desktop or even a laptop, like, they're just like kind of our overarching talking points on why you should just build it. And like, I think the first point that I wrote down was because you can. Because it kind of just destroying the myth that it's like rocket science to build a PC. It's gotten so much easier than it has been in the past, and we just kind of trying to kill that misconception.
That's a really good idea. I'll wait for you guys to do it, then I'll do it, and then you guys can call me a hack and a copy.
There you go. That sounds perfect.
Because everybody copies everyone in YouTube.
Absolutely. You should just call it hackcopy.com.
There you go. There's a new channel. I'm going to brand it before you can get it.
Nope, I'm going right now.
Damn it.
You can hear me clicking.
I hear that. All right. Dr. Doom. Well, don't
mess with that guy. Ooh.
Hey guys, in your opinion, the best budget case for a performance build for a gamer and/or productivity? Best budget case.
Budget case.
Problem with that for me right off the bat is budget is subjective.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think budget cases are usually right around that $100 mark.
Yeah.
I personally really like the way the half 922 is, but you have to like that really robust kind of appearance of it.
Yeah.
I guess. Right. I had a half 922 on Air, and it was a great case.
Yeah.
If you can afford a little bit more, that Fractal Define R4 or even an R2 XL,
yeah,
great cases.
Right. And his budget might be, you know, he might think like $30 and under is a good case, you know. And then in that case, you know, just you need to put some more filters on your search your search results, you know, like you know, what do you want it for? Do you care about airflow? Do you care if it's got a painted interior? Do you want some of the bells and whistles, or just a few of them, or are you okay with, you know, none of them? There's a lot that goes into it. You probably have to narrow it down a bit more before you could actually pick a choice. And even when you did narrow it down, there's still just so many options to choose from.
Yeah, if after this stream, if you guys go to my channel and search for how to build a gaming PC, that was a $850 budget build I did for a friend, and he used a $30 case that we were thoroughly impressed with. I mean, it had all the features. Let me look it up real quick. I cannot remember exactly which case it was. I know he got it from Micro Center.
Nice.
Gosh, I can't remember the exact model of it.
But I think the Core 1000 was one that I recently built, and that was just like, that must be like a $35-$40 case from Fractal, and it was just flawless. It was just not an issue in the world. I actually really enjoyed it, and then I looked it up and I was like, this is like under $50. You know, it's got a few features in there, but yeah, they're stepping it up over there at Fractal.
As long as they have, where is this? I'm almost there, I think. As long as they have, you know, the features that, here it is. Everybody should, you know, be looking for, like toolless 5 1/4 drives, toolless hard drive.
Yeah.
You know, plenty of expansion slots, and I'm a big fan of toolless. And one of the things I really don't like, if you guys check out my Fractal review, is I find it kind of a sin that the R2 and the R4 do not have toolless 5 1/4 drives.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense to me when this $30 case did.
Yeah.
The case was the Diablotech Evo Mid Tower.
Okay. Don't have too much experience with the Diablotech products, but
it's the only time I've ever used this brand.
Okay.
And you know, when I put together the parts list for my friend to go and pick up the parts, I said, hey, this is what's left over for a case. Get what you like in this range. And he came back with it. It came with 120 intake and two 120 exhaust.
Nice.
And it had it was all toolless, both drives and 5 1/4. You know, thumb screws for rear and front panel, side panels, both side panels, and it had plenty of room behind the hard drive or the motherboard tray. I had no problems building a system in this case.
Awesome.
And we just couldn't believe it. In fact, like the highlight of the build was like, oh my god, all the features you get for $30 in this case, go buy it now.
Yes. You guys are like stepping on the CPU, not even realizing you're just gawking over the $35 case. This is amazing.
Crunch, crunch, crunch. Oh my god, look, we're stepping on an i5, but hey, crunch, look at this case. Yeah, you know what's funny is some of the more popular videos I've done, just for fun, I just like to kind of go brain dead on the videos, and I did a video on how to install a CPU, but it was like how-to basic style. Have you ever seen that channel? How-to basic?
I haven't.
All he does is like how to do stuff, but it's very, very...
Basic?
No, it's like his how to build a hot dog, I think, involved a foot, a sledgehammer. Yeah, I mean, everything involves like an egg. He'll like smash an egg on the end of it.
Awesome.
Right?
Hey,
so
he'd go perfect for us. Yeah.
So yeah, I did a video how to install a CPU, and it was just like I had a mallet, and let's just say this old AMD Athlon board and processor just took a beating, and everybody loved it. People have been just like bugging me to do a whole computer build series, how-to style, where you just smash it. And I do have I have a complete system from work back here that was slated to go to e-cycling, and it made its way into my truck. And it's come home with me, and I'm gonna do it eventually. It's just that kind of stuff scares me a little bit, because it's like you don't want to ruin credibility, and of course there's a level of trolling involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, there's a lot of
you're like Sid from Toy Story, just like, you know, completely destroying toys. All computer parts are scared of you.
Exactly. And you know, I would put some M80s in there and pray that at the end of the video I have still, you know, 11 fingers, and you know, we'll go from there.
Brought to you by Dynamite.
Okay, let's see. What are the computer parts behind you for, Jay? Oh, these are just product boxes from various builds I've done. Things I like, things I guess you would say endorse in a way, even though I'm not paid or sponsored or any of that stuff.
It does add an element of flair and, you know, aesthetic appeal to the background, you know.
Yeah, nobody's going to ever have as many product boxes as Linus in the background. My God.
Sure.
And I think most of those actually have product in it. That's the sad part.
Yeah, right. They're all
Mine are
just
empty.
wasted.
Yeah.
You know, all those people commenting, Linus, like, give me one of those parts. Like, that's me. I'm one of those dudes. Like, hey, come on, Linus, toss me a bone.
Yeah, people ask me for one of these GPUs back here all the time because I have two 680 Twin Frozers, two 7870s, and a 650 box. Technically, I have three 680 boxes. I have one up top.
Wasteful bastard.
But they're just boxes.
Oh, that's true. There you go.
But they, you know, the average viewer is like, "Hey, give me that."
Don't let them know that.
And if this isn't just typical fashion, we're bumping up into the 100 viewer range just minutes before the stream is scheduled to end.
Sure.
Typical.
Yeah. God, you guys have
Such
such
bad
bad
time.
Of course.
V Dogler wants to know, how do I work at Newegg? It's the same way you get a job anywhere else. You apply, you have some product knowledge, some industry knowledge, and you be better than the other applicants.
Yep. Pretty much. Well, it wasn't really the case for me. You know, I'm just kind of like, hey, hi guys, I like computers. You know, I actually didn't know anything about computers. I knew very little when I got my job at Newegg. This was only about 2 years ago, and I didn't even build my first computer until about 3 months after getting the job. And my goodness, how much I've learned in the last two years since I've been there. It's just been a great experience. You know, working side by side with Paul. You know, and I always think, like, you know, because he did that how to build a computer tutorial a couple of years back, and it's a 3-part video. I think overall it's got 2 to 3 million views. And you know, every time we like go out to events like PAX and whatnot, or Computex even, people will be like, "Oh man, you know, Paul, you taught me how to build a computer. You know, I watch your videos all the time. I like loved it. You know, you helped me so much." And like sometimes I'll just sit there and think like, "Yeah, Paul taught me how to build a computer too, but it was a person." You know, and it just blows my mind. Like, wow, I just had such a great opportunity to just get involved in this community, and it's been an awesome ride.
Sergeant TNT is yelling at me to answer his question, but I'm not seeing it. You guys have to keep in mind there's a couple of things that happens with the chat here, at least on my end. It's delayed minutes after you guys ask, and then it like spams up really fast. So it's really easy to miss stuff. So you just ask it again, and if I see it, I'll do the best I can to answer it. I get people that ask me all the time, how do you get a job in IT? Well, for starters, you have to hate yourself.
Yes,
you have to be
fundamental
willing,
requirement.
You have to hate yourself. You have to be willing to take on everybody's problem as your own, and you have to be willing to take fault for anything that ever goes wrong.
Yeah.
And if you say no to either of those three, you have no future in IT.
Yeah.
Then you have to be willing to become an alcoholic, and
check.
So you know, I tell you, and there's times where working in IT, it's because I'm grown up around computers. I've been building computers since I was about 5, and you know, you have to be really, really good at being political, time management, because you have to be willing to tell somebody your problem's not important as this person's, and you're going to have to wait. That's always fun.
I'm sure.
And you know, when you got 15 people that have active tickets with you, everybody's problem is priority number 1 to them.
Absolutely, of course.
And geez, I sometimes wonder. Sometimes I sit there and I look at myself and I go, "How did I get here? How did I get here? Why am I not like some world famous computer builder that has his own company?" And I'm like, "How did I get here?" But no, I like my job. It pays well, but I know for a fact you have more fun at Newegg than I do where I'm at. I can guarantee that.
Well, you know, if you're ever in the market for a new job, toss me your resume sometime.
Yeah, my wife. You know, when I told my wife that I was doing a live stream with you, and she goes, "Is that the guy that works at Newegg?" Because I was watching your channel once when we were driving somewhere. She was driving, of course, and I was like, "I really like this guy, and he works at Newegg." And she's like, "Ask him for a job." I was like, "Yeah, but do you know what the commute would be like for me? I live out near San Bernardino."
Okay.
So the commute to industry would just be, oh my God, I would kill myself if I had to drive the 60 every day.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? We've got some crazy people that just commute from ridiculous places. I mean, I think our new hire is commuting from Antelope Valley, as it is, and she probably drives at least 2.5 hours a day round trip. But I know how it is.
But it's one of those things. If it's worth it, I mean, for the job I'm at now, I used to commute to Northridge.
Hey, I went to school there. Cool.
And did you go to Northridge? CSUN Northridge?
Yes.
Yep. I used to commute from Redlands. Do you know where Redlands is?
No.
Have you ever been out towards Palm Springs?
Okay, yeah.
It's like
I know that.
as you go up, as you kind of leave the populated area,
Yeah.
that's Redlands.
Gotcha. All right.
like
So
the
right when civilization ends is
pretty much. Then you find yourself in like the hills and the trees and stuff. Yeah, that's just past Redlands. So I used to commute from Redlands to Northridge, back home every day, and every now and then I'd have to go as far as Simi Valley because I did field work. I did calls out in the field.
Right.
And there were times I was putting 250 miles a day on my car.
That's brutal, man.
But
hopefully this wasn't every day though.
oh, it was every day for about 8 months.
Oh my god.
I had a car that I bought, had 30,000 miles on it, and at the end of 8 months, and ended up getting totaled. I was in a work-related accident. That car had just under 90,000 on it.
Ugh.
Yeah, 60,000 miles in, 8 months.
That's pretty tragic.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
You know, I have a terrible commuting story to Northridge as well. I think it was my junior year. I couldn't handle the dorms anymore, and I couldn't find a room to rent. I was like too late, so I actually started commuting from home. And my parents at the time were living in Orange County, so I was commuting from Orange County to Northridge 3 or 4 times a week. And I just remember like being so turned off by the idea and so exhausted all the time that I would just drive. Let's say I had class on a Tuesday, I would drive to Northridge on a Monday night and just literally crash in my car.
Yeah.
I would just sleep in my car and wake up the next morning, but I'd have the best spot in the parking lot, you know, like right there next to class. But there's no way to live, man.
Yeah.
I had a toothbrush in my glove box.
The things you do just to get by.
I know.
Okay, so the NK guy, again, he says his motherboard is an FXA 990 GD80, so it's AMD, and his computer doesn't OC well due to voltage droop. He wants us to explain V droop.
Your turn.
Okay. All right, V droop. Typically what V droop is one, when you start to put a huge draw on your power supply and the components in your motherboard, when your computer ramps up, see, especially AMD and Intel as well, you have a idle voltage and you have a load voltage, and that's referred to as line load. When you ramp up your speed on your CPU by overclocking it, there's usually what happens is the power draw from the CPU through the motherboard will droop due to resistance, and then it will peak and come up past your preset voltage. That's referred to as line load. When you have V droop, usually it means either the capacitors or the components in your motherboard or possibly your power supply are not rated high enough for overclocking. Your motherboard is a gigabyte. I believe it's a gigabyte. You said. Let me go back here. Look at the specs. FXA 990 GD80. I know the FXA 990, the UD series. Do you mean? I'm not sure what the GD is. I know what UD is. Ultra durable. Those parts are designed for overclocking. Maybe look into your power supply. You may not have a very high rated power supply. Definitely, anybody listening looking at building a computer, don't cheap out on your power supply. It's the one part of your computer that can make everything nice and comfy. It's also the one part of your computer that can destroy everything if it takes a shit.
Amen. Yes.
There's a reason why 80 plus was put out there. There's a reason why you have bronze, gold, silver, and platinum. Yeah. So it all comes down to power supply quality. If you're seeing droop and your power supply is unable to keep the voltage where it's supposed to be, stop overclocking now. Because what can happen is you can have a voltage regulator in your power supply take a shit, and it can fry your system.
Did he say what power supply he's using?
He didn't.
He
said what motherboard he was using and CPU, but he didn't mention power supply.
I'm sure it's like a PowerMax 250 watt. You know, just
I had somebody ask me the other day. It was one of those like cheap China knockoff 500 watt non 80 plus power supplies, asking me if it was safe to put a 780 on. I'm like, no, no.
Give somebody else that 780 before you break something.
For the love of God. Okay, take some more questions here. Do you guys think applications will utilize multi-threaded microprocessing in the next 5 to 6 years? If so, will AMD begin to dominate? You know, I think people are in a really weird place with hardware right now. One, I don't think people realize that I love how people are really pushing for AMD to dominate. I think it's kind of like that rooting for the underdog, which is fine.
Absolutely, sure.
But guys, the programs that matter with multi-threading already support it. All Adobe Suite does. all of Sony Vegas does. Shoot, even Windows Movie Maker does.
Right. I don't know what apps they're talking about that don't already utilize that. Like, are these some indie applications that I'm not aware of?
Right now, while I'm encoding with let me see what my... Okay, so I'm only using 6. It's probably not a fair... I mean, with right now, while encoding this stream, I'm only using 15% of my processor.
Nice.
So, and that's alternating between like 2 threads. So I guess we're just really efficient.
Yeah. That's a good call.
Okay, he says it's an MSI board and its power supply is an Antec HC750. The HC, what's the Antec HC? I know what like their green watts are. I don't know what HC is.
I don't either. I like Antec though.
Antec is one of those companies though that does make a very low end and a very high end.
Yes.
So I would look at the HC and see what its 80+ rating is. Okay, Jay, can you ask Kyle what sort of performance hit using a 21 by 9 monitor would get you over a 16 by 9?
Well, you know what? I think you can probably calculate the pixels pretty much and kind of get a good idea from that. I wouldn't say it's as much of a performance hit as like a 2560 by 1600 monitor per se, but you know, you are going to see a little bit of a performance hit. And I think if you're the best way to do it is if you're playing games right now with your current system comfortably on a 16 by 9 monitor, and you're getting well above the frame rates that you want, you're probably going to be okay with a 21 by 9. But if you're just kind of barely scraping by and you're like, you know, this is probably the bare minimum that I would like to go with, you might want to think about upgrading your system before getting a higher resolution panel like that.
Yeah, and Kyle, if you see any questions in the stream that you want to answer, just feel free to jump right in there.
Sure. And the other thing I will say...
No formalities here.
Gotcha. Awesome. The other thing I will say is that the 21 by 9 monitors thing, I mean, it just kind of exploded recently, and it's still such a fresh thing that's on the market. I would honestly wait until, you know, some more models came out and the price drops a bit, because right now I think they're pretty overpriced.
Yeah, like anything that's new, like 4K TV. Hey, when
Exactly.
you were at CES in January, you remember how 4K TVs was like on the list of hot stuff at CES 2013?
Right.
You know, Sony Bravia and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Did you see that Sharp right around the corner had an 8K?
No.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I remember my wife and I, we did. My wife was there. She was kind of my helper. Thank God I actually have a cameraman coming with me this year. I did everything myself. Oh my God, that was like the worst week ever. Okay, so anyway, I had just done my coverage of the 8K TV, and I did a review on it and showcased it, and you know, said bye to the Sony rep, and off we went. And we walked around the corner, literally, because Sharp was right around the corner from Sony.
Right.
And then she's like, "Oh my God!" I went, "What?" She goes, 8K TV. I'm like, "What?" And I turn and look, and they're like, "The world's first 8K TV." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
What?
Are you
Why didn't that
kidding me?
get any coverage? Why didn't I see that thing?
I have no idea. I didn't make any videos on it because there were so many people around it. I just went, "Okay, all right, that's it. I'm done with TVs," and I went off onto like the more the computer section, into the other hall. But
I'm sure I saw it. I just didn't realize that it was a TV because the resolution was so good. I thought it was real life.
Yeah, you thought it was people. You like walk into it. I'll tell you what I did like though was that 4K Panasonic 20-inch tablet. That was hot.
Didn't see that either. No.
That was so sharp it kind of hurt the eyes. You couldn't see a pixel if you looked.
Nice.
Somebody was asking if I'm ever going to get Paul in here. Guys, here's what you have to realize. One, collaboration with YouTubers is difficult because usually YouTubers have a pretty busy schedule, believe it or not. Two, you know, just like Kyle, Newegg TV and their own channels and their own lives are all come first. And second, do you guys realize I've been trying to get Kyle on here since May?
I was in Taiwan in my defense, and I would have come on sooner if I could have.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure my regulars know my streams are usually on Friday and sometimes a Thursday, but we're doing it Wednesday because of scheduling conflicts. So.
Yes. But I mean, just to build upon that, I think I know Paul would be more than happy to come on your show.
Yeah, I mean, Paul seems like a really cool guy, and the thing I like about the tech community, because I have a lot of fans, and I also have a lot of friends that are in different genres of YouTube, and a really good friend of mine, you may or may not know him, Boogie29988.
I've heard of him.
He does like a lot of Francis Rage, very.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
He and I are friends on a personal level.
Nice.
He's got 650,000 subscribers.
Yeah. He's
he
huge.
and I hardly ever get to talk anymore because, as you can imagine, he's busy. I'm busy. I mean, shoot, he got flown out to L.A. for a Volkswagen commercial for Super Bowl.
Nice.
Yes, people are busy, you know.
Yeah.
But you know what I think? What I'm most excited about is finding out that you guys are all local. I don't know where, and it's like that means the possibility in the future of like in-person collaboration is larger.
Yes.
So, which excites me because I've been telling people all along I want to do like some stuff in person with other channels because there's so much more dynamic.
Yeah.
And the fact that you guys are local, it's like, hey, maybe in the future there's some collaboration efforts there that'll be a lot of fun, and it's definitely something that I'm open to.
Absolutely, me as well. The thing I like most about having a face-to-face interaction is that there's just so much more. There's so many more things that can go wrong. It's and it becomes hilarious, and you just kind of roll with it, and it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. I don't know if you got a chance to see I did a infomercial for Tilt, which is a company that I met out in CES. They've been sending me some product and stuff, and that was just it's a friend of mine who's been helping me out with a lot of videos. And after this stream, you should check it out if you haven't seen it. It's really funny. We took the classic cheesy infomercial,
right,
and really cheesed it up. And made a giveaway video for the company. We gave away a few of these portable battery packs for phones and tablets and stuff. But so I see that kind of stuff in the future.
Yes, absolutely. I mean? And I think that's kind of exactly like Paul and I's sense of humor, and actually everybody at Newegg TV. We have kind of more of a lighthearted, like very cheeseball sense of humor. Mm-hmm. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We like doing things that are over the top, that are completely obvious to the viewer that we're just here to have a good time. And I can definitely see us working together.
I see like live stream LAN sort of stuff.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
if anyone in this group ever gets time to play games.
We should totally do a live stream LAN party.
Oh yeah, I mean
a live stream LAN party sleepover.
Yeah, I don't know how old you are.
In onesies.
I don't know how old you are, but by 11:30 it's going to be okay. Jay's passed out. Who's next?
I will make it a day thing. That'll work.
Yeah,
we'll work with it.
That'd be fun. Okay, so let's go ahead. Lightning round, huh? Okay, somebody's already calling for a lightning round. Basically, it's where it's like, okay, go through questions as fast as you can. It's their way of saying, answer the damn questions, would you?
Right. Okay,
so he answered me. The Antec 750HC is a high current gaming series 80 plus bronze. Well, I really don't know. It's one of those things that's very difficult to answer, in person or without seeing it. I do remember back in the day, people used to solve V-droop issues, especially with graphics cards, with a lead pencil. I don't know if you ever saw that, Kyle. But
no, I haven't.
You used to take a lead pencil and actually draw a trace on the board to connect two different voltage regulators so that it wouldn't droop.
That is a life hack right there.
That is definitely a life hack. And if you thought delidding took balls, try drawing on your graphics card.
Right.
Okay. Oh yeah, and one other thing I just kind of want to plug to everyone out there, especially anyone who followed Kyle over here. I am 1 month and 2 days away from my 1 year anniversary on YouTube.
Awesome.
And looks like we're going to shatter that 20,000 subscriber goal that I set a couple months ago. You know what my 1 year goal was when I started this?
What's that?
1,000 subscribers.
Yep, and that's a realistic goal. That's sometimes almost unrealistic for most YouTubers.
So you probably get them too. You get these messages like, "Hey, how do you grow on YouTube?" And it's like, I don't know. I wake up and there's more than yesterday, and I don't know where you guys are coming from.
Yep, there's no rhyme or reason.
How the hell are you finding me?
Yeah.
So every now and then I'll ask people in the stream, "Hey, what was your first Jay's video? Where did you find me?" And it's all over the board. I have my most successful video is I think 370K, something like that.
Sure.
Which is not a lot in YouTube's viral video. But that's nowhere near my highest subscribed to video.
Right.
Not even close.
Yeah.
I get my most subscribed to videos are the ones where I'm talking about a tech subject over gameplay.
Right.
So yeah. And those are the easiest to make.
Exactly, right. And it's probably just, it was maybe a relevant video. It was very time sensitive, and you had got it up in time, so you got that early engagement, early on, so it just kind of flocked to the top of the search rankings. You know what I mean? Someone typed in a keyword, iPhone, whatever it was, and there you were. You know, and I feel like that's something I've really noticed with YouTube. Like, if you want people to find your video outside, or find your channel outside of the typical realm, you got to kind of have to be time sensitive about things. So if you want to do a 780 video, you should probably do it the same. You upload that video the hour it launches. Don't wait a day, because then there will be a million people in front of you, and you'll just get buried.
I got really lucky with my Xbox One video. I wasn't even going to make it. And that video has only got, I don't even think it's got 80, I don't think it has 80,000 views yet. It's gaining about 1,500 a day right now, which is kind of slow for a video that's in the deep in the search engine now.
Sure.
My subscribers and my Twitter followers, I think I have like the best Twitter followers because they're so interactive with me. And they wanted to know, hey, what's your opinion on the Xbox One? Because, you know, it came out, the PS4 at E3 came out, and then there was such debate over DRM and all that fiasco.
Right.
And people wanted to know, hey, you're a PC gamer. What's your thought on this? And I was like, guys, nobody cares what I say about consoles. I'm a known PC gamer and a PC builder.
Sure.
And so I said, okay, fine. If you guys want to see this, retweet and favorite. And it just retweeted and favorited for like an hour. I went, okay, fine. So I made the video. I must have done it at the right time because it was done and uploaded within 2 hours of the conference being over, and I was #1 on the search engine for Xbox One versus PS4 for 4 days.
Nice.
And because of that, in one day it got 30,000 hits.
Yeah.
And I think that video gained me like 1,500 subscribers by itself.
Right.
So, but of course, I expect a lot of those subscribers, unless they're really into PC stuff, to kind of fall off the wagon and unsubscribe over time because they're going to realize I'm not a console channel.
Right, exactly. And I feel like for something like that, if you do something like that, it's good to have like an annotation, you know, towards the end of the video that maybe links to something that's slightly related to that video, so that, you know, you can show some random viewer that, hey, I do more than just PC stuff, or, you know, a little bit more flexible there. And also, I've found that keywords help a lot as well. Not even just in the tags section, but also in your video description as well as in the title of your video. You know, having the essential keywords there. Instead of, mystery video, and no one's ever going to be typing in mystery video. Well, maybe some people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's always those search words that always work. Like, you know, you've got fail. Yeah. And, you know, of course, you know, I kind of make sure I put Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, and ATI in all of the videos, sort of thing. But yeah, it's such a game. It's like you never know. And there's those videos that are like, yeah, this is going to be hot, and you're like, yay, 1,000 views. Where'd I go wrong?
Exactly.
And then there's the videos you're like, I don't care, I'll just do something and put it up. Boom, viral. It's like, what the?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I really like this idea, so I'm not going to try, and it's going to go big.
Right. No, I think it's pretty hilarious too, because, you know, there's talk at Newegg, you know, in marketing, like, you know, trying to generate engagement for maybe a campaign that we're doing, and you know, so a lot of like viral. The word viral is tossed around just way too much in the office sometimes, where it's like, all right, how can we make a viral video? Yeah, like that's a legitimate question that some people ask, and it's just like there's no rhyme or reason, there's no formula for a viral video. Otherwise, we would all have one, you know.
Kyle, that's like asking, okay, how do we solve traffic in LA?
Yeah, kill everyone.
Now, my friend Boogie, you know, aka Francis.
Sure.
He has got 125 million views. He's got many multi-million view videos, some of which are up in the 10 million views per video.
Yep.
And he told me, he's like, look, I have a theory on how to make a viral video. I'm like, okay. He's all, because I've done it like 6 times now. And so I said, okay, so what's your theory? He says, number 1, you've got to get them to feel emotion. It doesn't matter if it's hate, happiness, sadness, doesn't matter. They have to feel something.
Yeah.
He says, 2, you've got to end the video at some climactic point. He's like, if you bring them up into the peak of that emotion and you let the video go and you let them ride out that emotion, they're not going to share it.
Right.
He says, so it's got to be something emotional, and you've got to end it right at that peak, because then it's going to lead them to number 3, which is, oh my God, I got to share this.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done, and he's got, between 3 videos, he's got 25 million views on just his 3 top videos.
That's a great theory, actually.
But that's really hard to do with tech.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, okay,
but I feel you're doing that. That's something that we're both trying to do, is like instill a little bit of emotion. You know what I mean? Like whether it's comedy or drama, you know, like my epic how to build video or whatever.
That was the first video of yours I saw.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like that resonated really well because it was something that people could connect to, other than like, oh yeah, I know what a SATA port is. You know, it was beyond the spec sheet of whatever product I was putting in front of them. It was something that was emotionally that they were emotionally drawn towards, and I think that's also what kind of helped it get shared a little bit.
Right. Okay, we got somebody here begging us to answer. Okay, it's Gerard W98, one of my regulars here. Okay, Jay or Kyle, please answer. Would either of you recommend I get a GTX 780 or wait for the Radeon 9000 series? I hear they are skipping 8000. Technically, 8000 is a mobile GPU, guys. Yes, I know GPUs, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure Kyle will agree. I don't know what you have now.
I've got a 670 right now.
Well, no, the guy asking. I don't know what he has.
Oh, right.
Yeah. One of the things I find myself kind of leaning towards skipping 700 after all is I really want to know what this stacked RAM is all about.
Yeah.
On the next series NVIDIA.
Right.
So
I don't think there's any harm in waiting for it to come out and just seeing, you know, checking out the reviews, doing some more research. It's kind of hard to make a call before it's actually out. You know what I mean? And if anything, if it's still not what you thought it would be, then you know the most you can hope for is maybe some of the prices for the other hardware has dropped a little bit.
Right. Okay, so Waylon is asking, I want to take a computer hardware course at ITT. What would you call it? It's the same thing they call it in any school. It's going to be basic computer science. One of the first courses you'll ever take is going to be about hardware. And if you want to, you can take classes specifically to get your A+ certification, which is hardware. So there you go. There's your first steps. It's basic computer science, and the actual certificate in hardware is called an A+ certificate.
And that's how you conquer Linus.
That's how you conquer Linus. And that's how you start a career like I have, where you hate yourself.
How do I hate myself?
For willingly taking on everybody's problems as your own. What do I think will come after PCI Express? I don't know. PCI toll roads. I don't know, really. Actually, that was a really bad joke.
I liked it.
Okay, from now on, I'm going to punch myself in the kidney before I end my video to get more views. There you go. That's the way you do that. The Comerican said that.
Doing it right.
I don't know. I think PCI Express will just end up getting more, wider bandwidth. Like you got PCI 3.0 now.
Yeah.
In Australia, we buy 4 GB 1600 megahertz Corsair Vengeance, and it's like 46 AUD. Ridiculous. Yeah. Prices in Australia are ridiculous no matter what.
Because you're a big, massive island and no one wants to ship to you.
Yeah, that's true. It's the sadness of it all. But yeah, why are RAM prices always fluctuating? Why is gold and silver always fluctuating? It's just the market.
Yeah.
Because they all take specific components that are minerals. They're actual. A lot of people don't realize. A lot of the things that make up electronics are made from rare earth type materials.
Right.
And it's the kind of materials that are always fluctuating in prices based on the market. When the market goes up, so do the prices. Okay. Zchrono, what is your take on the future of Linux Ubuntu gaming? Will it eventually surpass Windows? No.
Yeah.
There. I had mentioned to you in topics about the Ubuntu Edge phone.
Yeah.
When you got Ubuntu, which is a non-profit company that has a free operating system, asking for $32 million in 31 days in crowdfunding, there's a lot of people scratching their head right now on exactly what Ubuntu is doing. Yeah. And you know what's sad about that is I watched their campaign video and I read their article about the crowdfunding. Ubuntu, if you guys aren't aware, is earlier this year at CES, I did a review and I talked to Ubuntu and did an interview with them about the Ubuntu phone. And at the time they had it on the Nexus 2, I think it was. They just ported it onto the Nexus phone. But now they have these aspirations of making their own branded phone, kind of like Apple iPhone, where they manufacture the phone and then they put their hardware or their software on it. And in order to do that, to make the first 40,000 phones, they're asking for $32 million in Kickstarter-type funding.
Does that seem right to you? I want to ask somebody in the industry and be like, is that really what it costs to make 40,000 phones?
I have no idea, but what I think is most interesting is the only people who have the right to buy the phone are those who contribute to the Kickstarter.
Right.
Or the crowdfunding. So it's like, okay, I'm going to give you $1,000 just to have the right to pay $800 for the phone. What? Okay, maybe because you want to say, yeah, you're in on this ground level of iOS or mobile software that you think is going to go somewhere.
Revolution.
The phone looks cool, but I'm sorry, guys. iOS and Android have too much of a foothold. Windows Phone, with all of Microsoft's backing, has been trying for 4 years now to get any sort of foothold, and they barely have it. BlackBerry is like, I don't know how they're still even alive. I don't think Ubuntu Phone, with this type of campaign, and they're saying this is only going to be an annual thing, a once-a-year thing, the only way they're going to be able to make these phones is through crowdfunding, it's not going to last. It's just not. I watched their video. I think Ubuntu has a really neat-looking operating system, but that's just it. It's just like every other operating system to me.
Yeah. I think they're trying to kind of ride on the general, the population's perspective of like, oh man, it's always been iOS or Android for so long, and Windows sucks. Like, let's just try something different. I think people are eager for something different every now and then. I think maybe Ubuntu is like, hey, we can offer something different. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good.
Yeah, and what I really hated was the way they had their little campaign video. They had the British guy on there talking, and it felt too much like an Apple video.
I actually didn't see it, but I'm glad I didn't now.
Yeah, it's this British guy talking, and I have nothing against the British. It's just I don't understand why, like, Apple does it. They put Sir Johnny Ive on there on all of their... It's like, why is it... I know the British sound really smart. They do.
Yep.
But it's just like, okay, because I met the owner of Ubuntu at CES. He ain't British.
Yeah.
So that means they went, hey, let's put this guy on camera because he sounds so like sophisticated,
There's got to be some empirical evidence, some scientists did some studies that shows ads that are narrated by a British man, sell better than an American, something like that.
Yeah, Sean O'Toole stuff says the Ubuntu Edge with crazy specs seems cool, and they did say on the page that you can install Android. Yes. That is correct. They did show in the video as well that you can dual boot Android or Ubuntu. But if you're going to pay that much for the Ubuntu phone, why would you put Android on it?
Exactly. Spend more money on Ubuntu. I don't need Android if I'm going to... Yeah.
Just to have an aluminum phone that then has Android on it.
It's like, just in case Ubuntu sucks, you still have Android. That's why it's so great.
Yeah, it's in case the Ubuntu project is closed down, you have an out. That's really what it comes down to.
It's a cop-out.
Lego Freak Caleb says, can Corsair make a bigger case and it be successful? Are you asking if they can make a bigger one than the 900D?
Because if you are, go home, you're drunk.
Yeah, I have the 900D, and I put it on top of my desk, because it's like, you know what? E-Peen, right there. That. But would I buy a bigger case? I already have to move a shelf, guys. Like, a wall-mounted shelf is too low. It hits my case. So... they might make one a little bit wider. I mean, if you've ever looked at like the Merlin M8 or any of the Mountain Mods PCs or any of the Case Lab stuff, you can always go wider.
Yeah.
I don't know. I looked at getting a Case Lab case, but after I configured it the way I would have wanted, it would have been $600 for a case. No way.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Well, guys, we've gone a half hour past schedule. I don't know what Kyle's schedule is, but let's get some last questions in here, and then we'll do our sign off here. I guess go ahead and we'll call this the lightning round. Go ahead and post your questions quick.
Go.
Anything you see you want to answer, Kyle, just cut me off and go, because I'm long-winded.
All right. I'm reading very intently.
And you'll see that it's nice and laggy.
Yeah, absolutely. I love lag. It's my favorite.
Answer Mikey Fatalion. I don't see Mikey Fatalion. Where's Mikey Fatalion? Guys, there's almost 100 of you in here. Okay,
there he is. Please answer my 8350 at 4.6 gigahertz renders 20-minute videos in 40 minutes. 720p, 8 megabits per second. Why were you able to render real time with your 8350 clocked only 200 megahertz faster? My GPU is a 660 Ti 1.1 gigahertz core, 1.7 gigahertz memory.
How much RAM do you have? What's the speed of your RAM? What were you rendering? And what were you encoding into? I encode directly into the YouTube 720p format.
I think that might have something to do with it.
That's why my videos have absolutely zero processing time on YouTube, because I render right into the YouTube format, which is still an H.264 MPEG-4.
Right.
So. Okay, what are your thoughts on the Corsair Carbide Air 540? It's a neat case. Like I said, you can always go wider.
Yes, I actually really like that case. You know, I didn't like it at first when I saw pictures of it, and I was like, "Ooh, that looks hideous." And then we actually brought it into the Newegg TV studio when we did a VIP build for Naomi Kyle, who's the host of the Daily Fix at IGN, and it just came out. We unboxed it, and it just looked beautiful. And after I saw everything mounted inside of it and how the inner workings of the entire chassis, I actually really like it now, and it gives awesome airflow.
Yeah. V-Doggler, Jay, have you ever tried designing a case for yourself? Not really. I don't have really specific needs as long as it could mount my radiators. I have a quad radiator and a triple, and the 900D does that with more space to spare, so the 900D was what I got. And then Brian Pearsall wants to know, what's a quality dust-free case? None of them! Every case that has a case filter on it still gets dust in the system.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with balancing of your fans. A lot of people like to put, a million intakes and no exhaust, and so there's dust. A lot of people like to have too much exhaust, and then it pulls in through the non-filtered vents, there's dust. And if you live like where I do, it is dusty as hell and windy. So there's nothing you can do about it.
If you do want a dust-free case, just remove all of your fans.
Yes, passive cooling all the way.
Yes.
And then you'll just get the gravity that falls in the top of the case.
There you go.
And don't put your... It also matters, too, on where you put your case. You put it on carpet, you put it on the ground, it's going to get way dirty. Especially if you have animals.
Yes. Do not put your computers on the ground, people. If you care about your computers, put them on an elevated surface, put them on a desk, or at least if you can't put it on a desk, like your desk doesn't fit, at least get a little stand that's just slightly elevated above knee level, even. Otherwise, you'll find yourself having to clean out your case so much more frequently, a lot more dust buildup, and it's going to affect your performance over in the long run.
Now I'm gonna right here on the live stream. I don't know if you're watching; you might see it in delay. I'm gonna pull off the side filter here that I have on my 900D. I've got my four Corsair SP120 Quiet Edition fans on the side, and they're running at right now, according to my fan controller, my digital fan controller here, they're running at 52% speed. I clean this thing on a daily basis. You can't really see it actually on the stream. No, not really. I get every single day, nope, you can't see it, damn it. Every single day I get fan-shaped dust circles on this filter. And every single day, dust makes its way onto the fan. And I don't know if you've been hands-on with the 900D, the filters are pretty fine. They're not big gaps, so we're talking very small dust fibers making it through there.
Yeah.
It's going to happen no matter what. Mr. Condescending. Well, aren't you just a pleasant guy to be around? Okay, Mr. Condescending, is it better to buy headphones and a microphone or a headset? You're always going to get better quality with standalone microphone like this.
Yeah.
But with that said, there are some really good sounding microphone headset combos out there, but they're generally going to cost you just as much as if you bought them separated like this. Now, I'm kind of cheating a little bit here because I've got the Yeti here, which you can get for about $100. Sounds, I think, amazing. But I'm also using my studio headphones here that were supplied by Munitio. These headphones here are $300 headphones. So this is a studio quality setup. I'm doing testing and reviewing of these headphones here. But you don't need this to do YouTube if that's why you're asking. Yeah. I mean, I have a video on YouTube you can go check out. It's all about microphones for YouTubers, and I take everything from a $4 desktop mic all the way up to this Yeti and let you hear the differences. So you can find something that works for you that's maybe in the middle of the budget, wherever your budget is. Yeah. But you can also get a really good desktop USB microphone for $50, right? Isn't that what you said yours cost?
That's exactly what I'm using. Yep, and it was $50.
Yeah. So
and it also depends on each individual's use case scenario. If you're going to LAN events all the time and you're gaming on a laptop, in class or away from home, you might want to just get an all-in-one headset. That way you don't have to lug around a mic as well as your headset. But ultimately, my opinion on it is a standalone mic will be the best at what it does. It'll be the best mic, and a headset will be great as headphones will be great as headphones. So, kind of, they specialize in what they do. So
now, whatever you do, don't go with the Logitech G930s. The wireless G930, thinking that you're going to get a good microphone. Because, oh my God, I compared in that video. It sounds like you're talking through a can and a string. Because it's wireless, they explained that they had to cut down the bandwidth on it. And they cut it down to 16K?
Brutal.
Yeah, and when you look up 16K, it's tape player quality. Okay, Hizzy says, Jay, can you help me out quickly here? I have two EVGA 680s and a micro ATX Mobo, but they are very close together, and the top card can run at 10 to 15 degrees hotter than the other. Is that okay? Kyle can correct me if I'm wrong. The 600 series cards have GPU Boost 1.0, which is it's going to adjust its speed to stay below a certain temperature. Whereas 2.0, you can say, I want you to ramp up to this temperature, which means if you have really good cooling, it'll overclock itself, factory-wise.
Yep.
The 680 will not let itself go over, I think it's 80 or 85.
I feel like I want to say 80.
My GTX 680 has never been air-cooled, so I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will run hotter, but it's going to slow itself down to maintain that temperature. Unfortunately, what that means for your card that's not being choked of air is it's going to slow down too, which overall is going to slow down your SLI config.
Yeah, it's it's a sacrifice that you make, I guess, if you want to fit two cards in a small micro ATX form factor.
Right, but rest assured, with the SLI configuration, you're still getting a hell of a lot more speed than one.
Yes, absolutely. Just not as good as cooling as you would have maybe with a full mid-tower.
I think a lot of people may not realize this too, though, is if you're going to sandwich two cards together where you only have 2 or 3 millimeters between the cards, going with a solution like the Twin Frozer or the DCU2 is not the right option. You want that turbine fan, that blower style.
Right.
NVIDIA themselves even says that that's the amount of static pressure it can build with that fan in a tight configuration is what it needs. The cooler, the twin fan options, or even like Gigabyte's 3 fan options, are designed for open airflow.
Right.
So if you're sticking 2 of those together, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice.
Yes, and it also helps too with the card on bottom. That's when you have an enclosed, like a fully closed enclosure, that all the hot air is pretty much ejected out the back. So it's not actually coming out the sides of the card and going into your intake fans on the card above it.
Right. Steak Eat 99 says, lightning round, favorite food? Mine's Italian. Go.
Sushi.
Ooh, sushi. I can't eat sushi.
Oh.
I don't like seafood at all.
We can't be friends.
I know. I just ruined that relationship.
But that's okay. I like Italian, so we can be friends again.
Yeah, I love Italian. That's my favorite. I got that $4 mic. It's coming in the mail. Hey, it probably cost more to mail it than it did to buy it.
Probably.
Any tips for reducing fan speed? Sometimes my PC sounds like a helicopter and it's annoying. It sounds like a helicopter because it needs the air.
Yeah. Let it be a helicopter.
Yes, just let it fly. Turn your volume up. Yeah. What about Maddox MATX C70 with full support in the H110 and the MATX 600T with the same support? Please respond. What's your question? You're talking about micro ATX and a C70 versus in an H110 and a micro ATX in the 600T?
Why would that be an issue?
The H110 does fit in both, doesn't it? Does a C70 have two 140s up top? It does, right?
Oh, you know what? I think it does. I don't know if the 600T does though. I don't think it does.
Doesn't? Yeah, the 600T has what? A 200 mil or two 240s or a 240?
Two 120s, yeah.
Yeah, two 120s or a 200.
Right.
Okay. I do like the look of the 600T though. It's such a nice case.
Me too. It's right next to me right now. I'm stroking it.
Oh, that's right. That's what you have, huh?
Very gently. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the 900D's little cousin.
It is.
Sort of. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I forgot to mention earlier. With the 1 year giveaway, the 1 year anniversary, I am doing a giveaway.
Nice.
And I've got various companies sending me some products, so I'll be announcing that in a couple of weeks. That way, you guys can all enter. Everybody's eligible, regardless of where you live. I don't like to discriminate. Unfortunately, if you live someplace out in really in the boonies, it'll just take really long to get to you. And unfortunately, if you live in Australia or whatever, then it probably take a month.
But it's free, so
it's free.
So shut up.
Yeah. Kyle, what's your favorite color?
Brown. It's brown. I don't even know, but I would say brown. Brown's mine.
It is a tint of brown, depending on your mood.
Yes, it is. Okay,
it's okay. Someone says they don't like seafood either. Thank you.
Come on.
Hizzy says he has a CM Stormtrooper case, so you could easily fit a full ATX board in there. Would this be a good idea? Absolutely. If you've got a C70, or actually you got a CM Stormtrooper, if you've got a Cooler Master Stormtrooper, you can fit a full ATX board in there, which would likely give you separation between the cards.
Yes.
Which sounds like what you need.
Yes.
Can a 7870 run next-gen games? A 7870 can run most games at least medium to high settings on 1080p, probably for the next generation or two.
Yep.
at low MS, at AA
Low
settings.
filters. Yeah.
Yeah. Jay, have I used Audio-Technica AT2020? That was the mic I looked at when I was buying this one, but the AT2020 didn't have live monitoring. Like, I'm monitoring my own voice right now through this mic with these headphones, so I ended up going with this.
That is helpful.
But you know some equipment that I am buying for CES, though, I'm buying a Zoom H4n audio recorder.
Nice.
And I need to find a decent XLR mic that I can use for interviews to hook up into that recorder. So I'll be probably doing some shopping on Newegg there.
All right.
Okay. Brown is neutral, not a color. Yeah. Try and tell me it's not a color.
Purple.
There you go. Straight from Kyle's mouth. Purple.
Didn't expect that one.
How do you kill a fly that's bugging you while watching the live stream?
I have an electric fly swatter that I hold down the button and it just zaps them.
Deploy
awesome.
cookie robots.
Cookie robot. That's actually more effective.
Jay sees food differently. Get it? The comedian, regular comedian. Yeah. All right, guys. I definitely want to say thank you, Kyle, for coming on to the live stream with me. I know.
Thanks for having me, man.
It's your first live stream. You were a little nervous, but there was nothing to be nervous about, was there?
I know. You made me feel very comfortable, Jay.
That's the way I do it. I mean, I didn't have the Barry Manilow playing in the background, but next time I promise
I'm going to hold you to that.
There will be candles.
Yes,
there will
please.
be Barry Manilow, and there will be an intermission.
And we'll both eat steak at the same time on webcam.
Yes, actually, yes.
Steak.
All right, so yeah, I mean, I think there's a good YouTube relationship forming here. I mean, people should probably expect to maybe in the future see some more from us. At the very least, I think at CES we should get together for maybe a quick video of some sort, if there's time. I know you'll be there on Newegg's dollar, so.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Just like you and Computex, bastard. I don't think I could.
My job.
I couldn't have survived in China. I'm twice as tall as everybody. I probably would hit my head on every door way.
They actually have the same size doors as we do. Believe it or not.
Is that just the accommodating side of them?
Yeah, I think so. It's just for freakishly tall white people.
Yeah, because I'm 6'4". I'm telling you right now, if you've seen the movie Mr. Baseball, it'd be like that, walking around in the crowd.
How do you even fit in the frame?
Very wide angle.
There you go.
I'm serious. I have to specifically for CES. I have to buy a new ball mount tripod, one that will go eye level, because my camera now only goes to about chest level. Dude,
people in Taiwan would worship you. They love foreigners. You know. They thought I was Mexican. I had to tell them I was half Asian, but they still love me because I was half Asian.
They thought you were Mexican?
Yeah. It's a common thing.
Yeah, well, it's Southern California, so it probably rubbed off. I don't know.
Right.
So, okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. I do appreciate you coming. You heard him. He's going to put in a good word to Paul. Maybe we'll get Paul on here someday.
Indeed.
And thanks once again. Everybody go follow Forever a Kyle. Go and subscribe to his channel. And if you followed Kyle here and if you liked what you saw today, do me a favor. Hit subscribe on my channel. Maybe we can all be the best of friends. We'll learn together, and you can laugh at my fails. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. Thanks, everybody, for coming. And as always, see you when I see you in my next video.